The traitor is over. Evadine is dead. Thank goodness.
Thank goodness. And with that, welcome to this week's episode
Of The Traitor.
of Into the Pages. Oh yeah, it's the Traitor podcast.
Traitor by Anthony Ryan. How'd you like the ending?
I found it lacking. I think it was that's the best I have to say about it.
It felt just really rushed to me.
Yeah.
I think it was just the he spent so much of the whole series just felt this way in general, where there's just a lot of like build up and then an end, which I don't know, if you do it right, that's fine. There's a lot of stories like that I like, but in this case, I did not like it.
Yeah.
Because it just, I don't know, the tension didn't feel there, and I didn't feel like really hardcore against who they were trying to say the bad guy is, which is Evadine and her crazy people. So I mean, like, he gets captured and he's like, oh, everything's going crazy, and then he leaves to the Kareth lands and he comes back and then it's just like complete like madness, it seems like, but it just didn't feel like, I don't know, real, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
It felt real.
Like, I don't know. I just wasn't like, oh my gosh, these people are crazy.
I definitely got that feeling. Like, it just seemed like everything went spiraling downhill faster than the roller coaster, whatever.
Yeah.
It like you
felt
can
like
see
rushed
Evadine's
and
craziness earlier in the books, but it just felt like she went from crazy to downright insane.
Yeah.
And something was super wrong with her because like all this bad stuff was happening, and she was just like good, or like had excuses suddenly for it, and all of her. Yeah. I almost felt like the army that Alwyn left was not the same army when he came back. Like they were all just as insane as Evadine was, like committing all of these heinous crimes because like she is the risen martyr and the anointed queen or whatever.
Yeah, it's just. I don't know. It just felt rushed and just kind of stupid. Like the whole last scene where he comes with his, like, there's not even like a huge confrontation. Like he comes into the land and then Evadine sends a message saying, "Meet me alone," and then he does, and then he's just like, "Why'd you even spend this whole time building up a huge army?" Literally. I mean, I guess they do kind of help, but like in the end, the Sackwitch turns into the Seraphile. And there's not even really a battle between Evadine and the Sackwitch, which makes it seem like there could have been, because they're like, the Evadine is the embodiment of the Malicite, and the Sackwitch is the embodiment of the Seraphile. About to have this big battle, but all that happened was that she transformed into the Seraphile, kind of flew around a little bit while Alwyn and Evadine talked, and then Evadine ran away, and then they kind of flew around a little bit, and then they screamed at each other, and then it was over.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then the Widow killed Evadine, so I was kind of like, this just feels kind of stupid to me.
Yeah. I didn't like how they spent so much time, like, what are we going to do? We don't have the numbers to fight Evadine. And then Alwyn has that vision or whatever that he needs to go off with the Ethlish dude. And they went through recruiting all the Kareth people, and then they got them all together, and they had like one battle, but otherwise it was just...
They had like a little mini siege.
Yeah.
And then the big battle was pretty much just the Payrith. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Pretty much the Kareth cavalry. And it's just in the background. Because Alwyn's like, he's watching the Sackwitch almost get burned alive. And then he's like, don't do this. And then you hear the cavalry charge and you hear the fighting in the background. But then it's just Alwyn trying to get to Evadine to rescue his baby.
Yeah. And compared to the other battle scenes in this series that we've gotten, like... the Pretender Wars and the second one, even ones in this earlier one, were just this one lacked heavily compared to those.
And that's another thing I want to talk about is I think Anthony Ryan, I think he relied too heavily on something that worked really well in the first book, and that was when he does like a brief description of the battle. He's like, crazy things happened, and then the rest is lost to oblivion as I just went into this mode of fighting. And he started doing that with every single fight Alwyn got into. And it just got tired and annoying. I got in this big battle, and I killed this guy, and the rest is oblivion. and then this, and then this. And then I was in the battle. I'm like, killed this guy, and the rest is in oblivion.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying the wrong words. It's not the exact words he used, but it's like literally the same exact description for every single battle.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, it felt like a copy and paste.
Literally.
There was literally no difference between any of the battles. Every battle from the Pretenders' War all the way up to Everdeen, the final confrontation with Everdeen, they were all exactly the same battle. It was literally, to me, felt like a copy and paste.
Yeah.
Like, oh, battle scene, okay, copy paste. Okay, next part.
Literally. He had some sort of special program in his writing software that copy and paste this just in slightly different words, and we're good.
Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of, I guess it is kind of a tall order because there's so many great battle scenes out there. Like, you think of Lord of the Rings, like the Battle of Pelennor Fields, where, you know, first it's the siege of Minas Tirith, and then, oh, they breached the walls of Minas Tirith. Like, oh, Rohan's here. Oh, there's freaking huge-ass elephants. Oh, there's a ghost army. And so, like, even though it's one big battle, there's, like, segments and there's, like, different things going on. It's not just, oh, I have this huge army. I'm going to have 30,000 people. They have 30,000 people. We're going to fight. And the rest is a blur. And then we won.
Yeah, I feel like that you can get away with that a little bit easier with the battles they had before, because I don't think they had near that many. They had like 10,000.
That's why it worked in the first book, the Pariah, because it was literally like that. That totally makes sense. He's never been in battle. He's never even been trained for combat. He was trained in the few weeks it took to march to the battlefield. Like, yeah, I can understand that. But then in later books, especially now in the Traitor, Alwyn's not really even involved in the fighting. Like, he takes more of a commander position.
Yeah.
He's literally the Lord Marshal of the not even the Carith army, of the 30,000 or however many people they were able to recruit under the Alganthinids. So he's like the commander. So like that introduces a whole nother level of what you could have done, what Anthony could have done with the battles.
Yeah.
Like, where we could have seen Alwyn's growth, where he could like been observing from afar and been like, oh, this is what it looks like from afar. Like, now I can, and like as he learns to be a strategist. But now he's just like, I'm an expert strategist, and then the rest was a blur, and then we won. And I don't know. I just wasn't satisfied with it.
Yeah. I did enjoy one battle when he first has the, dude, I'm going to say this wrong, the horse, but the Pala or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it either.
Well, when he had that special Carith horse, and it suddenly was just like became bloodthirsty and was dashing off into the fog, and he's like, wait, you stupid beast, I'm going to die, or whatever.
Yeah.
That was an interesting one for me. But
even then,
it still
like, it started off interesting. Like, I liked that. It was like a fog, and it was an ambush. Like, what's going on? But even then, he was like, and then I fought, and then I saw the Duke, and then the rest is a blur, and the next thing I know, the Duke is dead, and William's dead. I'm like, dude, like, write about this. Why can't we see?
Yeah.
Why can't there's such an opportunity here where he's like, because they get cut off, he could have been able to see Willem and them fighting, and then like he fights some more, and then like, don't just say it. Then the rest is a blur, and then it was the end, and all of a sudden this is happening.
I kind of hated. I talked about, like, earlier when we were covering the Pariah, how this is kind of like our type of book where he goes into pretty big detail about everything except battles. Now that we look back, like there has been so many moments in this series that I've been reading a conversation, and I have to go back and reread it because one character says a sentence or two or three or four, or maybe in a paragraph, and then there's like 6 paragraphs of Alwyn's thinking, and then they continue the conversation. I'm like, wait a minute, what the frick is going on?
Yeah.
Like, he put so much into that, and there's just so much dialogue. I don't know, but there's so much writing. But then these battles are just like super short. And
I think each battle was maybe a page or two.
Maybe, yeah.
Like the longest battle was like a page or two.
Yeah, and one thing that like really started to bug me. I don't know how many times this happened, but I remember there was that crazy Duke that we thought came out of nowhere. Who this was like the battle in the fog, I think, where Alwyn finds himself surrounded by all these other knights, and then the one Duke knight guy comes out like the traitor scribe is mine, and then he's like, but we would not fight this day. I'm like, why am I even friggin' reading this? And I swear that happened several times. And then it was the same with Everdeen. He's at this big baddie boss level, and he's like, but I was not the one who killed her. And then Julian, the widow, comes out of nowhere and throws that feather rock at him. I'm like, oh, are you gonna do anything, Alwyn? What's your point?
That's another thing that was just like such an anticlimactic moment, because it was like there's like this huge battle, like holy crap, the Sack Witch is the Seraphile. She's like this angel of fire, and like what's gonna happen with that? And then it's
especially like that whole thing after where like the Sack Witch so willingly went to get burned. I'm like, there's got to be something, because
Yeah.
why would anyone, even the Sackwitch, just go willingly to like, oh, I'm just going to die by fire. Yay.
Yeah, but then Everdeen runs away to the woods, and it seems like, okay, there's going to be like a more personal confrontation. And then it's again one of those moments where, like, Alwyn's saved because he's the main character. Because it's like, I don't even know what happens. And then Everdeen and the Sackwitch scream at each other, and then when they're done, Julina comes up and hits her in the head with the stone, and then it's over.
She falls face first, or I was supposed to be like laughing, I guess.
And then we have a major typo. This is going out to Anthony's freaking editor. What the hell?
I wish I knew where it was, because I want to see it. And like, is this what we thought it was?
It was exactly what it thought. So something happened. Someone gets hit in the head, and Alwyn describes it as if Skittles were scattered. The word Skittles is used.
Yeah, what the
And no mention of that has nothing like that has ever been mentioned in the entire book. Skittles, like, this is a completely different world than ours. Why is all of a sudden Skittles coming out? It was so jarring that I had to stop reading. Like, I couldn't keep going.
Yeah.
I was like, Skittles? His brains being splattered by a warhammer looked like Skittles?
And I was super confused by that, because I was like, that is a huge thing. That's not just like he just casually mentions some little thing that you might be able to. Skittles is like a very specific candy,
and it's for someone's brains being smashed in. It's not like I saw these colorful things that look like Skittles. It's like his brains are on the ground and it looks like Skittles.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, like, you and I are very experienced readers, and there's nothing in like medieval type fantasy books that is
only time
Skittles. What is Skittles in this medieval world? What the heck?
Exactly. There's absolutely no reference to anything in our time, in our world. There's no, like, like Harry Dresden, like Jim Butcher, like, it's in our world. So obviously, if Harry Dresden's like, oh, they look like Skittles, you're like, oh yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, because he lives in like modern day Chicago. He would know what Skittles are.
Yeah.
Alwyn Scribe has no idea what Skittles are. You could give him a bag of Skittles, and he probably wouldn't even know how to open it. Be like, what the frick is this colorful thing?
Right. But he's like, apparently brains look like Skittles in Alwyn's world. So I was like, what unicorn piece of shit? And so I was like, what editor read that and was like, okay, yeah.
Maybe there was no editor. It was just
Anthony. He was just like, yeah, it makes sense. Like, it has to be a typo.
I wonder.
There's no way he intentionally put Skittles there. Yeah. I don't know what else he was going for, but it had to be like some sort of wacky autocorrect or something. Like, it's a mistake. It's like a editorial, grammatical, whatever the heck you want to call it, mistake. I highly doubt.
I wonder if we could go like Google this or something, and maybe other people have been like, did I read that right? You talking about Skittles?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, it's in the Kindle edition, too. Like, I can understand it was the print edition and the Kindle was updated, because the Kindle books get updated
Kindle could
all
be
the time.
updated, yeah.
So I don't know, because I don't know what's going on with that. But
that is really interesting.
So,
well, that's one of the things. Like, I think that question would be on the top of my list if I ever met Anthony Ryan. Like, did Alwyn really see? He really actually referred to the brain as Skittles. That wasn't a typo.
like, taste the rainbow Skittles.
He should have licked her brain and see if it was Skittles.
Yeah, man. Well, that was really weird. And then the ending in general, I don't know. And then just this whole book in general, like the whole series, it just seems like it was hinting at so much more.
Yeah.
Like Bloodsong. I keep mentioning Bloodsong because I think Bloodsong is very similar in how the arc of the story is going, and how, like Alwyn's going through it, and he's all like, do the Kareth have like actual magic? Like, oh, dude, what's the actual history? And then, like, almost seems like he's about to go towards it, and he goes away. And about to go towards it and goes away. He goes to the Kareth lands, and he sees all these ruins, and you see, like, this crazy things that are happening, but they're just, like, background to Alwyn's thoughts and the general narrative of him beating Everdeen.
Yeah.
And so it just felt very unsatisfying, just because of the level that it was hinted at, that there's more there, there's more here, there's more here, there's more to this than just seeing the eye. And then just to end it,
yeah,
was very, like, unsatisfying, jarring, and then just left me with a bad taste in my mouth because it just was completely unresolved. Like, at the ending, Alwyn goes a completely different direction. Like, I could totally make sense to me if he went and lived with the Kareth. It makes sense to me if he stayed in the court with the Alganthanids, but he goes to some random island place that he's never been before, has no connections, which I guess he's trying to get away from everybody. But he has a scout company with him who's apparently all devoted to guarding his son, who we can't know the name because that's a story for another time. I don't know. The whole ending just seemed like he just wanted to wrap it up and then tie a nice pretty bow on it with a happy go sail into the sunset ending, and it just did not fit the story.
Yeah, and one thing I have a problem with that, with like the magic, is just like you said, we really don't see much of it, and it's only hinted at. We see a little bit with like the Ethlish guy, and we see the Sack Witch doing stuff here and there. But then suddenly, what I hated is suddenly the Sack Witch turns into the Seraphon, and it's this massive fire thing and destroying the army, burning everything in her path. And like compared to all the other magic we've seen, that would seem like it's a huge output of magic suddenly to wipe out Evadine's army. That like, okay, so this is the unicorn. That's just poof. Here we go. The end of her army. Mm-hmm. The end. Yeah. So that and maybe I could have got over that if Alwyn and Evadine would have had a more satisfactory end, not with the widow coming in, finishing out of nowhere.
Because Alwyn went by himself into the middle of Evadine's center of power, and then went by himself to follow Evadine into the woods. Like, how the heck did the widow even begin to know where he was?
Seriously.
And how did she get there? Alwyn riding a magical, mystical horse at full speed, barely caught up to Evadine. And how did the widow on just a normal horse, not knowing where they were?
Well, she had one of the horses
too. She had one of the paninis.
They're paninis.
The paninis.
The pela, I want to say.
That's another thing. These horses are like hyper intelligent, and they can like make these decisions, but there's like not even. I don't know. There's so much to this story that it just felt like intentionally he was trying to just make the world more interesting by hinting at things with no intention of fleshing them out. And that's what made me upset. Because, with a lot of epic fantasies and a lot of big worlds, like, it hints at these things, but as the story goes on, they get more and more fleshed out. Like, Brandon Sanderson. We always talk about Brandon Sanderson, but like the Cosmere on a whole, like, even if you take the Stormlight Archives, like, their horses, this is a perfect example, actually. The horses that can carry shard bearers. Yeah. It kind of mentions, like, oh, that's a huge horse that shard bearer is wearing. And then we get his perspective. It's like, oh, there's a special bond? Like, how does that work? And then you're like, oh, it turns out that they choose it. Oh, there's like a herd of them. You can go and find them, and they'll, like, choose you.
Yeah, like, so he goes into it. He tells you what the heck is going on.
But it's like in pieces. It doesn't have to be like a whole paragraph of, like, this is the horse, this is their history, and this is what they're doing. Yeah. But it gives it to you. With this, Anthony, it's just like, it was like Alwyn was like, oh, look, there's like a piece of magic. Anyway, I love Evadine, but I just like, I don't know what to do. And I'm like, dude, what the heck? Like, read what's on the wall. What is that? What does that even mean?
Yeah, honestly.
Like, why are the Kareth ruled by like these 4 elders? What's Varith? Like, how does this magic work? Like, look into this. Don't just be like, oh, Evadine has a lot of Varith, and so her baby has Varith, and so the Ithless wants to kill me because he wants my kid because I have too much Varith. You're like, the hell?
Yeah, seriously. I hated that too. The end of it, he comes and like, give me your son. No.
I don't know. I was like, what the crap? Like, what is happening? And then all of a sudden, Alwyn and the widow are in love?
Yeah, that was... we knew from earlier on that she liked him, but nowhere is it like, oh, I like her too. Like,
and it's not even hinted at.
Not even like a little bit.
Their whole relationship has just been the widow... just wants to basically kill herself by getting revenge. She throws herself into danger with no regard for her personal life because she's like so stricken by how brutally her daughter was killed right in front of her. And Alwyn is what's holding her back, making it so she doesn't just go kill herself. Yeah. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, she's jealous, and then Ian's like, yeah, it's obvious she's jealous, you idiot. And then all of a sudden the widow's not crazy anymore. And turns into like a loving mother to Alwyn's brother or son. Yeah.
I remember literally thinking to myself at the end, because it talks about how like he says something like, I untangled myself from, I always forget her name, Julina or something. Yeah. He said, I untangled myself from her and took my son. I'm like, wait, what? Were they hugging, cuddling? What the crap was? When did they get, what? And all these things going through my head like, yeah. I was totally blindsided by that, thinking like,
just the whole ending of the book.
It was just nothing.
Just so jumbled, and it was so just like this happens, this happens. Like it just didn't. Nothing flowed. Nothing felt like it connected. Like there's this whole arc of him like having to build an army, of building a stronghold in the Kareth lands, and then they have this big old crossing. It's like this big deal. We have to train these troops. He doesn't even use them.
Yeah.
Doesn't even use them. And then it's like, what was the point of all that? But I don't know. I don't know. It felt at the end, I mentioned this, it felt very copy paste. It felt very generic. It felt very like, it almost seems like Anthony lost interest, but he wanted to finish it. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a good way to describe it, but I just, basically at the end, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it kind of just ruined the whole series for me. Up to this point, I was kind of like, yeah, it's a good book. You'll read it if you want, but it's not my top 10.
Yeah.
It's like a good read if you have nothing to read.
I definitely feel if the third book would have been, this is kind of funny to say because I don't think the first and second book were really that good of books, but like if the third book would have been at least as good as those books, then it would have been a different story. But I can understand why this book doesn't seem to be, the series is not super popular.
No, it didn't connect. It did not connect for me.
Yeah. This kind of feels like, I don't think you've ever watched it, but have you ever at least heard of How I Met Your Mother, the TV show?
Oh, yeah, that's another, I hate that ending of that show, too.
Oh, you know the ending. Oh, my God. Okay.
This is exactly how this book goes.
Maybe didn't love it, but I really liked that series up until like the last, I don't know how many episodes it took, but last 2-3 episodes maybe.
I was totally blindsided.
I was too, and then I hate that series now because
I was like, there's no way this whole series is about him convincing his kids to let him go out with Robin. Like, that is the stupidest ending. The stupidest, most absolutely ridiculous, blindsided, pull out of my ass bullshit.
Seriously,
I have ever seen in a TV series.
I think that's probably legitimately the only TV series that made me like. I finished it and I was like pissed off. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
Normally, I rewatch series I like, but I don't think I'll ever rewatch
I will never rewatch that because I'm like, this is just a load of crap. After all of the ups and downs he already had with Robin, and like them, this is how he met his kid's mother, and then you're like, okay, it's not going to work out with Robin because this is about how he meets some other woman, and it even comes out, and then...
But then, like, the meeting of her was so anticlimactic. It was like nothing. She had like half an episode, if I remember correctly, maybe a whole episode.
And then they killed her off so quickly.
Dead. And then the kids are like, don't worry, Dad. We know this whole story is so you can go out with Robin. And I'm like, I did not get that. I've been watching this whole series, and I did not get that message.
I hated it so much. Anyway... I don't feel quite that strongly about the ending of The Traitor, but it's in the same category, if you ask me. Like,
that same feel of like that most TV shows have in my experience, where like the last season just kind of sucks.
Yeah,
and they just kind of try to wrap it up, and it's just stupid.
Yeah,
like it doesn't have like, especially all these like TV series where they're about people's lives. Whereas it's like after the series is over, their lives are going to keep going. Like even though we're not telling the story, these same things are happening. Like it doesn't have to be some sort of like epic ending. Like just like end it and just be like, and it keeps going. And this is now it's over, but they're going to keep going like the way they are. It doesn't have to be like some big huge thing. Like I'm thinking of Brooklyn Nine-Nine as I'm talking about this because they're like, why does everyone have to have this huge thing that happens to them to end the series? Like just they're still normal people. They're still just doing their things. Like just make it normal. Like Friends.
Yeah, Friends is a good example.
Like Friends definitely had that feeling of like, yeah, we're trying to move this along, we're trying to end this, but it ended with like, it made sense. You know, Monica and Chandler, they just had twins or twins, and so they're getting a house. Okay, cool, yeah, sweet. But Joey still lives across the hall. He didn't move. They didn't give him some big, huge, grand thing. Ross and Rachel got back together, but I mean that just kind of felt like when they always get back together. Yeah. And Phoebe's married to, what's her name? What's his name?
Mike.
Who am I forgetting? Rachel, Ross.
I think you got everyone because there's Ross, Rachel, Joey, Phoebe, Chandler, Monica.
Yeah, and then it ended with them putting their keys on the table and leaving. And then it's just like, their lives go on. And it had that feeling of like, oh man, that was like so good. Like, I don't want it to end. I got to rewatch this. I don't want this to be over.
Yeah, totally.
And it has that feeling because their stories go on. They're not just all of a sudden like, huge thing ends and it's over. It's just like, it just keeps going.
There was kind of the huge thing of like the excitement of the twins being born and like, not only like they were expecting only one baby and then there was two, so it's like, but like it still didn't feel like they were trying to do this massive, huge thing that just totally flops.
Yeah,
I didn't get that feeling at all, and they ended it perfectly because it just makes you feel like this is super sad, but
it's not over.
You feel satisfied that it's not over, even though we're not going to see it.
Yeah,
We're not going to talk about Joey's show.
Joey has a show?
Yeah, because the Joey slash, I don't know who did it, but Joey slash Matt LeBlanc continues the story a little bit where Joey moves from New York to California, and there's 2 seasons of him living there with like his sister trying to continue his acting career, and it felt really bad. It just didn't have the same.
I hate when people do that.
Yeah.
It's totally fine for a story to be over. You don't have to rehash it.
I think the huge thing is that I always come back to is that people like look at like, wow, look how successful Friends was and how much money they made. Let's keep that going so we can keep doing money. Like, and maybe I would be convinced that the people who wrote that show or produced it and whatever were more interested in money than anything, because it was just crap. It just had such bad writing. I wouldn't be surprised though.
There are so many sequels that are just absolute crap.
Yeah.
And not even when you compare it to their great prequels. Like, they're just crap movies in general. That is very obvious. It's just a money grab.
Yeah.
That they're just trying to get as much money as
that's
they possibly can.
That's what we're gonna go into a deep hole now.
I'm talking about like almost every Disney sequel. Is
yeah.
like
Okay.
this.
Yeah. There's all that. And I was gonna say a huge one for me is like the Wheel of Time, that the Amazon TV series. Like, they don't give a grand crap about that show. They want money. And that's why they must have bought the rights or anything and stuff, because I hate this so much, but that's why they put on every single book that is now in Barnes & Noble or wherever you can buy books. They have they have the actors, but even you can get the old, it's like a new cover. It's got a portion of the old cover, but they got that stupid ad. Like, oh, this is an Amazon Prime Video or movie. You're like, are you freaking kidding me?
Ridiculous.
Get out of my face.
That's ridiculous, yeah.
And then there's also the Rings of Power, who just that felt like a huge money grab to me too. Like,
100% that was a money grab. And every Star Wars show that's coming out now.
Yeah. For when it comes to Disney and Star Wars, it feels like it's a money grab, and like they're trying to advance their own stupid political agendas.
It's like they've forgotten who watches these.
They literally have.
Like, they use the excuse of, we want this to be to a broad audience. I'm like,
but they literally went from like this huge audience.
You realize that if you make this as accurate as possible to what the fans love, they will spend all of their money on it.
Literally.
They do not understand geek or nerd culture.
No.
I'm literally the type of person that will go to a store and spend hundreds of dollars on a fake lightsaber. If you make a good Star Wars show, I will buy it. I will rewatch it. I will buy swag for it.
Subscribe to they probably won't sell it on DVD, I would think. I don't know how they do, but
not.
at least it would get us to subscribe to their
it's
Disney.
It's the geeks and nerds of these things and these fans that do that.
Yeah.
It's not that my wife isn't going to do that. She'll watch the show because I'm watching it, and she'll be like, oh, that was good, but she's not going to do those things. But if I like the show, if it's true to what I like, and I understand there's going to be changes. I understand that a narrative to a TV show or a movie, there's going to be differences. Fine. But you can make it good. Lord of the Rings. Not The Hobbit. The Hobbit sucked ass. Lord of the Rings. They changed a lot of things from the book, but the story was good. It was well made, and it was true to the fans.
Yeah.
And look how it is. To this day, it is still like, I still get chills when the freaking horns of Rohan sound on the Pelennor fields.
It's seriously, it's so freaking good.
But now I just feel like all they want is my money. They're like, here, you're a fan of this? Pay me. And they're like, because you're stupid and you'll just pay me money because you like this.
They literally must think that.
I'm like, come on. Anyway, I'm very passionate about this because like there's so many things now where they're more and more adapting popular books and popular things. They're even now going to making video games into movies. It's like, stay true.
Yeah.
I understand you're going to make changes. I understand you have to make changes. But like at least keep the core things the same. Like, my hell.
Yeah, I don't ever get that. Like, I recently watched like an interview with Brandon Sanderson, how he's kind of talking like, oh, you got to make changes to your books to make it a TV or movie. And it's like, if you say so. But he would probably make changes that are necessary. He's not going to do the things that like Disney did or Amazon where they just want to promote these weird things.
Yeah, they have to promote these weird, stupid things, and they have to change things that don't need to be changed.
Yeah.
Like, why did you give Perrin a wife? And why does he kill her?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, the Perrin and Fael love arc is, I would bet money that is one of the more popular love arcs in the Wheel of Time, if not the most popular. Yeah. Everyone loved Perrin and Fael. and they just ruined it.
Yeah, so what I don't understand is I literally think they have their heads up their butts, or they think they're so dang smart that they know what to do, because they look at this like the Wheel of Time and like that's a super successful series and it did really well. People love it, but then they take what was successful and jumble it up, ruin it, put in their own crap, and be like, put out this garbage.
And then put the name of what's successful on it.
Yeah,
that's all
like
they're doing. They're just making up their own crap that sucks ass and putting a name of something good on it and expecting us to believe that it's good.
It doesn't make sense to me.
There was so much potential. The Wheel of Time could have easily been the next Game of Thrones. Easily. It wouldn't have even been hard. If they had at least stuck to like the core basics of the story and the core arc, they would have been the next Game of Thrones easy.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
But
there's something
they just wanted the money of Game of Thrones, and so they wanted to make it all weird. And the only thing I like about it is the Trollocs. I thought the Trollocs were badass.
Well, that's it. That's because that's where their money went. Their money went into like the creation and like bringing to life an animation of those, and then I didn't like the actors in the Wheel of Time. I thought they were garbage. I
like Rosamund Pike. I do think she was a really good choice for Moiraine.
They just directed her and wrote really bad.
The script, the acting of everyone else.
They want to give her stupid scenes where she's naked sitting in a bathhouse with other naked. Like they just want to give you garbage like that.
They way over sexualize the Aes Sedai. I understand that Robert Jordan did have a lot of like hints and innuendos, which okay, but they like leaned like they are like hard. Like they were like pretty much like warders were like sex slaves. I'm like, that's not what these were. Warders were like the best warriors in the entire land, and they were like super dedicated. And yeah, the Green Aja like did it with them, but like it wasn't like a harem. Like at least I didn't get that impression. And it made every Aes Sedai seem like you either hate men and you're a lesbian, or you have a bunch of warders just so you can bang them all the time. And then the warders were gay with each other too, and I'm like, it was never. I'm like,
yeah, that's the thing too. It's like they want to make everything gay.
They just when we got to Tarvalin, it just felt like the big tower of like a brothel.
Yeah,
it did not feel like a center of power of like these powerful women that have guided the world for however long. I don't remember how long it's been since the breaking, a few thousand years at least.
Yeah. I wish, like, if they want to have stories like that, then that's their business, and they can. I go good for it. But why do they have to take these beloved things and warp them and corrupt them, in my opinion, to their weird ideals and stuff? Why can't they just write their own dang stories?
Yeah, write your own story or keep the story as it is. Stupid people. It's gotten to the point now where like when I see something being adapted, I'm like, I don't even care. I'm like, it's going to be shit.
Yeah, literally.
Like, why? I'm not even going to watch it. Like, it's going to be absolute shit. Well, what else is like this that we hate?
There was one TV series that came out that I thought was all right. It wasn't that great, but I thought it was okay. And I think it's because I didn't play the video game, but Fallout, I thought.
I've been watching Fallout, yeah. Without playing the video game, like, I'm all right with it. It's not like the greatest show ever, but it's not total flop.
But I don't watch that like I watch the Wheel of Time and be like, this is complete trash garbage. But it's because I know Wheel of Time. I don't know Fallout, so.
Wheel of Time just gave the big FU to thousands and thousands of fans.
Seriously.
I mean, there's like entire.
Same with, oh my gosh, one of the worst. I hate this more than the Wheel of Time because I like this one a little more. But I remember getting the news a couple of years ago that they're finally making a legitimate Halo TV show. I was like, sweet. And it was the biggest pile of horse manure I have ever watched.
They turned Halo into a soap opera.
I can't believe the people who wrote that have never played the games in their life.
Everything from the acting to the scenery to the way the lighting was done was a soap opera with Halo costumes.
Seriously,
and it was just absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, it was,
and I was like,
I was excited to hear the news that they're making a legitimate Halo series, but then after watching the first season, I am now excited to hear that. I don't know if it's true yet, but these rumors are going around that it's been canceled. Like, freaking good. And even like later now, the people who, I don't know if it's the same because it doesn't feel like the same people. Maybe you agree, but like Halo 1, 2, and 3, solid, great games. Love them. Halo 4 is, and then Halo 5 also. I liked Halo 6. I'll admit that. But
I don't even know. I don't remember playing. I don't even know if I've played all of the Halos.
Yeah, but then there's that new one, Halo Infinite. Like that one.
I played that one. Yeah, that one didn't feel like Halo.
It didn't feel like Halo at all, and I don't know. It felt like someone had taken it over and tried to do their own thing. If it was the original people who did like the first 3 Halos, trying to do like something new, I think it would have felt way different and maybe better than what we got. But
Halo Wars was fun.
Halo Wars was fun.
I really liked Halo Wars. Had some kick-ass cutscenes too.
Yeah, it did. Oh, I liked Halo Reach was interesting.
Halo Reach. ODST was okay.
I don't remember. I think I didn't like ODST because I was so used to running around as the chief that I felt like weak as crap running around as just a regular like ODST that I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But
I think by this point in the game, the Call of Duty is the same issue, where every campaign is just linear and boring.
Yeah.
And now it's just heavily focused on online multiplayer play.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, just make a Fortnite then. Either make a game that has a killer campaign, or make a Fortnite. Like we have Fortnite and Warzone.
Yeah.
Battlefield.
It seems like one thing that I'm super sad about, maybe I haven't researched enough and looked into enough, but like I love games like Elden Ring and Horizon Zero Dawn, and like those single player games are really fun. Well, Elden Ring is multiplayer. But what I hate is I love shoot 'em up games. I love to get on there and just get a gun and do stuff and get like super cool technology, cool tanks, cool flying things or whatever. But the only options out there that I've ever seen is things like Call of Duty or like Battlefield. Like, fine, if you like those games, great, but I want a shoot 'em up game that's got a good story, a good multiplayer, or a good campaign.
If you could have a game of the quality of story and world that's Elden Ring, but a shooter,
dude,
that would be world changing.
That is another thing that if these people could understand, I would sink my money into that. I would buy the deluxe editions. I would buy the DLC. I would buy the skins and whatever crap.
I think Helldivers shows that it would be a success.
Yeah.
Because Helldivers, it's only online multiplayer, but you're not fighting against each other. You're like, it seems like you're actually doing like almost like a campaign.
And for me and you, I think we want games like that because we're not these obsessive people who live in their mother's basement, or okay, that's like a mean stereotype, but we're not the people who sit and play these games for 8 hours a day. So when we try to play a game like Call of Duty or even something like Fortnite, we get whooped on because we're just not so amazing with the keyboard and the controller that we can just like automatically headshot people from 3,000 yards away and whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So those kind of games are just not fun because there's all these insane people out there who live and breathe in these multiplayer games. Mm-hmm. And like, I mean, there's been some who like have kind of like rankings, so you can, but Fortnite doesn't.
Kind of, yeah.
Fortnite, you just get stuck with whoever you get stuck with. But like, holy crap, you're totally right. If we got a shoot 'em up freaking game as good as Elden Ring, freaking forget it.
So good.
I'll become a hermit.
That would be so good. But alas.
Yeah.
Or even like if you were to make a game like The Last of Us and Fallout, but not make resources so incredibly scarce that you can't even use the guns you find.
Yeah. That's one thing for me. I wonder if I'd like Fallout better now, but I remember playing it when I was in like junior high and it was like I was even less of a good gamer than I am now, and I'm not a good gamer now. And playing that, I was just like, this sucks. I have to like fight these hard freaking enemies with a wrench. Like what? Yeah. And you just
seriously.
And it's also, that one's a pretty specific game. Like I think I was expecting to run around in that giant piece of armor they show you and find out like, oh, you're actually this like homeless guy who runs around with a stick and can't even fight off a stray dog. So it was I was expecting something and got something completely different, so it is totally destroyed. And even to this day, I'm like, I don't want to play Fallout. No, thank you. Yeah. But a better example of that is like something like, oh shoot, what is it called? The Last of Us. That was a super fun game, and you got to use guns, and it's a little better than Fallout. Like it wasn't as hard to find resources, but it's an apocalyptic game, so resources were still fun. You can't just dump your ammo and then expect to find ammo. If you dump your ammo, you're going to be scrounging for 3 hours to build it back up.
Yeah.
And you're going to be fighting people with your lead pipes and crap.
So games like that make sense, but yeah, they just needed like a game. That'd be sick. I would definitely play that.
This is why man, if I could make a wish, I'd make myself like a massively good programmer or something, an artist, so I could design my own dang game.
Right.
So I don't have to deal with these people who... We could go on. There's so many examples like this.
There's so many examples. So many examples. And all because people are just greedy and want to make the money, but they don't want to be true to what people actually like.
It seems like everyone is really just pushing hard to that get rich quick scheme. And these people like this are just like thinking... I would love to know the numbers. I want to know if... like the Rings of Power and the Wheel of Time were they massive flops? You can probably research this. I've never looked it up or anything.
I've never looked it up either, but I know
I'd be greatly satisfied. I want to see people hate these things because it's like you guys are taking these most beloved things and just trashing them.
Mm-hmm. Just ignoring what made it a success in the first place. But yeah, I know they both had like massive budgets, like hundreds of millions.
Yeah, because they're both Amazon, right? Wheel of Time and so like Prime. Amazon's got so much money to throw at this, but they
didn't do it right.
I think there's just two problems. They just have that agenda to promote these woke ideals, and they like, just want to get people's money.
And it was with certain things like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, the worlds and time frames are so incredibly vast that you don't have to keep beating a dead horse. Like Star Wars is a prime example. Why are there 9 movies about the Skywalkers?
Yeah.
We get it. Enough of the Skywalkers. Yes.
Especially when you've got so much lore.
Skywalker made the first 3 movies and it was a franchise was built on the Skywalker name. Enough. There's a whole galaxy. There's a whole huge timeline.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the Skywalkers. Tell one of those stories.
I agree. That'd be great.
And do it well, Acolyte. I don't even want to talk to you.
Oh my gosh.
Piece of shit.
Acolyte is terrible.
Show.
Barely
even made it through the first damn episode. But man. Same with Lord of the Rings. Stupid. Their problem, like they did the story thing right. Like they didn't talk about like Frodo or any of that, but they just completely with one show they completely invalidated themselves by making it completely inaccurate to the lore, as far as I'm aware of. I'm not super knowledgeable about what actually happened in Lord of the Rings, but as far as like the movies are concerned, it made absolutely no sense. Because in the movies, they're like Sauron seduced them into making rings of power, and then he tricked them by making his ring control all the other rings. But in the show, he makes a ring. Sauron makes a ring, and then they figure out he's Sauron making the rings before the other rings are made.
Oh, they did. I don't remember that.
Did you catch that?
I don't. It's been long enough.
So the show ends with Mordor being created by some bullshit way. That was just absolutely ridiculous. I freaking hated that. And then he had like his ring, but none of the other rings were made. There were no rings for men. There were no rings for dwarves. I think there might have been one ring for the elves.
And all the other rings were made first, right? And then
his was made in secret.
Ring of Power.
Because in the beginning, they're saying, "Oh, Sauron like came and he helped them make these rings and said that would help them be good leaders." But then he made a secret ring, and that's like the whole story. But in this one, he's like, "I made this ring that's going to control everything, and I'm an evil bad guy, and I'm going to leave and create Mordor." So now you're telling me that he comes back and then tricks them. He's like, "Oh, actually, JK, here's some rings now." You might hate that. So they just like completely undermine like the like. I don't know.
That's absurdly ridiculous.
It's super ridiculous.
So yeah, the Traitor, they got us going on all of our other frustrations.
It's just because it happens so often.
Yeah.
Like people need to look.
People need to study history, I think, and figure out what actually succeeded.
They need to look at what makes people's like. Why are these successful? They need to say, why are they successful? They need to look beyond that they are successful.
Yeah.
buy me the name so I can stick it on my garbage and make a buck. They didn't say, why is this successful? Because it was good. It has a huge fan base. Let's be loyal to them. Stupid.
We should start our own business and be loyal.
And it's not even that hard. You would make money. Maybe it wouldn't be like what you're maybe imagining, making $1 billion because everyone in the world loves it. But like, even just think of Comic-Con, of how massive that is. Like, I swear every state has its own little Comic-Con or some sort of con where like thousands of nerds gather together.
Yeah.
Make movies for those people.
They don't understand the power of nerds.
The nerds and geeks like you and me are the people who rewatch stuff, who get excited when like the theaters are like, oh, we're replaying these.
Yeah.
For years and years. I watched Star Wars when I was my kid's age, and it's still my favorite movie in the whole world, and I still rewatch it.
Yeah.
So like, if you make something for me, like, you're gonna make your money, but
They just don't get it.
and then they make a flop, and then they're like, why did this fail? Well, because the only people who care about what you're making, you screwed them and didn't make it for them. You made it for the people who have absolutely no interest in this at all.
Yeah, literally, like the people who wanted to see Moraine be gay and a lesbian and all the other guys be gay. Do they watch that series? Do they buy all the merch? Did they go buy the books because of the series? Did they watch the movie because they like this? No, it doesn't.
No, stupid.
They just want to make the world the worst place or something.
Stupid. But yeah, now I'm just traumatized. So now whenever I hear an author say like, yeah, I'm thinking about making a movie, I'm like, don't.
Literally.
Don't. Freaking A. Even if you're like, I'm going to be heavily involved. It's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Like even J.K. Rowling, like the Harry Potter movies are pretty good, but they're like not true to the books like at all. And she was involved.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's only so much you can do.
It's definitely
once you sell
like
the rights to your stuff.
Yeah. They
Like
did a way better job than most people are doing compared to like Harry Potter's way better than like the Rings of Power and the Wheel of Time TV shows. But
so
I actually I have so little faith in what the Harry Potter series is going to be. Like, it's not
there's
going
a series. There's going to be a Harry Potter series.
I have been hearing rumors. I have no idea. I swear I hear these rumors and I have no idea. But I've heard rumors that like HBO is making a Harry Potter series, and they're going to
like based on the books.
Based on the books.
Oh, now, see, that's another thing.
I mean, even though like they describe Hermione in the book as a white girl, she's probably going to be black and maybe even gay, and her and Ron are even going to end up together or something like that.
See, like, tell a different story. We already have books telling the same story as the movies. We don't need a TV series rehashing both of those.
Yeah.
They're about to get shot in the foot. Because this is the same thing with Wheel of Time. Harry Potter fan base is massive and loyal. You can still go to Barnes and Noble and the Harry Potter
They've got
section
a whole section. They've got huge sections
of like
it.
new stuff. It's not like stuff they didn't sell 20 years ago. They're making stuff for it.
Mm-hmm.
I still get excited buying Harry Potter shit. Tell something new, please. Fantastic Beasts was a good movie until you did the second one, and that was just awful.
Yeah.
And
oh my gosh. I don't know what they're gonna do, but even though the books don't ever mention Dumbledore's sexual preference and his relationships with
that came out of
men
nowhere.
or women, like that was totally just a thing. Like, oh, yeah, Dumbledore's gay because I want to appease these stupid people who want everything to be what they want.
Rowling obviously pulled that one out of her ass.
Yeah, same with that. I don't know if you knew that. That's why I say Hermione is black, is because that happened. Like, you can look in my book right now. When Harry first meets Hermione, she is specifically described as white. But now she's like, she was supposed to be black. She's black. I don't know what you guys are talking about. Those books don't bring. Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me?
Seriously. Like, my God.
So that's kind of how I think the series is going to be.
It doesn't even have to be about Hogwarts. Do a similar story about the school in the America, or Durmstrang, or any of the other schools, because I think it's been made clear that Hogwarts is just the UK school.
Yeah,
because
like
even
in
whole
Hogwarts
area of like Scotland, Ireland, UK, it's like that area.
Yeah.
But what about the rest of the world? Like,
but there's Europe schools. There's a school in Africa. We learned there's the United States
you
school.
go to any of those schools and tell a very similar story to Harry Potter that has nothing to do with Harry Potter.
Yeah, not to mention, if you think about even just our Muggle school, like if we go to junior high school, college, that's a very small portion of our full lives. Like, there's huge amounts of areas they could go into.
You could do a whole
outside of
detective.
school.
You could do a whole detective TV series about auras.
Yeah, exactly.
About them solving crimes in the magical world, and it would be just as popular as CSI, NCIS.
Yeah. If they can freaking do it good.
Yeah.
If they pull some bull crap like they did with the Dresden Files TV show, then
that's the thing. You just take that model, the CSI model, the NCIS model, the NYPD, PDCD, all those shows are exactly the same, but just in different places.
Like all the crime solving.
And then just put, like, they have wands instead of guns, and they have magical creatures instead of dogs, and it would be exactly the same thing, and it would not be hard to do.
Successful.
And plus, I would be very curious to know, like, going to the Americas, like, what do they think about Voldemort?
Yeah, I would love to hear that,
because he seemed like super terrifying, but like it's never even mentioned.
He never really gets offshore.
I mean, he does go there once, remember? Because there's one point I remember why.
Well, he doesn't leave Europe. I should say. I don't think he leaves Europe. Did. No,
because when he went to Grindelwald.
Well, Grindelwald was in Europe somewhere, I thought.
Oh.
But I mean, he does.
He was in America.
I don't remember actually.
I just remember the only thing I'm basing this whole thing off of is Harry had one of his visions of Voldemort, and he was pissed, and he was flying across the ocean because he wasn't close enough to apparate.
Right, but I mean, like, there's an ocean.
I thought he was in America when that.
Did it say ocean? I thought he was just flying across the English Channel or something.
No, maybe it was. I don't know. My whole life is just
I don't know where. Maybe Grindelwald was American. Maybe that's why he was in
the Fantastic Beasts. He was put in an American prison.
He's not in Azkaban. I don't think he's somewhere else. I know that much, but
who knows? I don't even know anymore. My whole life.
The point is,
my whole life is a lie.
Yeah, yeah. That's another thing. They want to rehash the same story over and over and over and over because they think that's what's going to make them money. If they just
we don't need another remake.
Yeah.
Like, Harry Potter is done. His life is over. He married Ginny, and they live some boring life with Albus James Voldemort Severus Potter.
Yeah, why didn't he name one of his kids Voldemort?
Yeah, he should have. Like, he influenced my whole life, and if it wasn't for him. I feel all worked up now.
Right. You don't say.
I feel like I'm voicing what, like, almost every nerd and geek in the world feels.
Yeah, seriously. And you go and watch. I'm sure people have already seen. Go and watch all the YouTube videos about fans of the Wheel of Time and fans of Lord of the Rings and fans of Star Wars.
Even Brandon Sanderson himself, he was giving one of his speeches at a Comic-Con or some sort of con, and even he, like, alluded that he didn't like it. And he even alludes that he's like, I tried really hard.
And they wouldn't listen to him, of course.
And they didn't listen to him.
You would think, oh, that's really sad. I totally forgot that it even says in the credits, like, oh, Brandon Sanderson was a consultant. Like, oh, maybe, no, they completely didn't listen to anything. And it's garbage.
Yep. I don't know who sold Amazon Wheel of Time, but they did not review the contract well enough.
Gosh. That's one thing that makes me sad. I don't know if...
I mean, I guess I can understand it. I mean...
I don't.
I mean, if Dad had written a story that became worth millions of dollars, and then Elijah was approached by Amazon and said, we'll give you $5 billion for the rights of this. Like, I can understand why he would be like,
yeah,
hell yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's okay. So that makes sense. What I don't like is maybe George Lucas' story. I don't know the story of how it came about or why he sold his Star Wars to Disney, but I hate that he did that now. Like, I was kind of excited because, like, it seemed like after episode 6, The Revenge of the Sith, I thought it was over. I thought it was like, okay, those 6 movies are what we got, and that's all we got.
Episode 3.
I meant like the 6 episodes.
So it was weird because he did 4, 5, 6, and then 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But you meant the 6th movie. I can see what you're saying now. Continue.
Thank you. but I just hate that he sold it because he could have made it. And I want to know if, I think it was like a retirement thing. He was done with it or something. I think that's what it was.
Because this was after he'd done Clone Wars and everything, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I forgot about like Clone Wars and stuff. So I think for some reason he was just sick of it, it seemed like making those movies was actually stressful, like working with him or something like that. But I don't know for sure, and I don't know. We got a few golden eggs out of it, I guess, but I don't know. Like I liked the Kenobi show, but it didn't have the same like awesome feeling as watching the movies. Same with Mandalorian, though that was good, but it just didn't have the same feel, and Mandalorian felt like it kind of like dropped off.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. Same with Boba Fett.
Yeah,
and it's just because they keep retelling the same story.
Yeah.
Just from different perspectives.
And they got their own stupid political agendas and crap.
And I'm like, just do something else. That's why I was excited for The Acolyte, because it was totally different, had nothing to do with Skywalkers.
And of course it was a piece of crap.
And it was just terrible. So I'm like, I'm giving up faith. I'm canceling my Disney Plus membership. There's no point. The only reason I've kept it this long is because of Star Wars.
And they're just
spitting in their face. There's no point.
Yeah.
No point. Go back to Netflix and rewatch Stranger Things.
Well, we're doing really good. Last episode, we went around about Harry Potter. Now we went around about everything else and Harry Potter.
Yes, this is the last few episodes is episodes of rants.
Yes, it's because the Traitor got us worked up, and then we started talking about the frustration.
Hopefully the next series we do will be a little bit better.
We'll have to think about this next one, make a good decision.
We'll see what we do. We have a couple of options.
This sucks, though, actually, because we totally thought the Covenant of Steel series would be good because Anthony and Ryan wrote it, and he wrote Blood Song, and that was good. I heard that one. I saw that one was called The Raven something.
The Raven Shadow.
Raven Shadow.
That, when you said The Raven something, it like also remembered.
Now you remember. That's one thing that I was super disappointed is this just felt like it was not on the same level as The Raven Shadow.
I don't know what happened with him.
It just seemed like I really just felt like he was trying to tell a different type of story where it wasn't about like the chosen one, even though it kind of was, but like the main character we follow isn't the chosen one or whatever, but
it's just well written, well done, good plot, but
still just not quite satisfying.
To be honest, I don't even know if I'll ever read another Anthony Ryan book, to be honest.
Oh, really? You don't think you're going to read that other series we looked at?
Maybe in like a year.
Dang, we should have read the other one.
Maybe in like a year or two when I forget about this.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. We'll have to see what we read next.
We need to rinse our mouth out with a few other series before we consider going back to Anthony Ryan.
Maybe I'll reread Stormlight and then be pumped for books again, and then
there you go. That'll work.
Speaking of Stormlight, we're in August now, so we just have 4 more months until we get to Stormlight 5.
4 agonizing months, but it's almost like, because we got all of August, all of September. Oh, I know it is 4, because of all of October, all of November, and then the beginning of December is when we'll get it.
Yeah.
I gotta bust out my reread of this series.
I've been debating if I want to reread the whole series or just Rhythm of War.
I decided
at this
to go
point,
for the full
I've read
thing.
Way of Kings like 5 times.
Yeah.
4 times. No, 5 times, because I read it initially, reread it for a second book, reread it for the third book, read it for the 4th book.
Reread it with your wife.
And then I reread it with my wife. That's 6 times then, because I read it by itself, and then reread it for each of the preceding 3 books. So that's 5. And then once with my wife, 6. I read it 6 times.
Dang. See, I want to reread the entire series because I've only read it once, and I'm rereading The Way of Kings. Like, I forgot about all this stuff. And it's also really interesting to reread.
That's my dilemma, though, because I've read Way of Kings 6 times, Words of Radiance 1 less time, and each book I've read 1 less time.
That's funny.
When I do a reread, like the first one's the one that's always the most read.
Yeah.
That's why I'm thinking maybe just Words of Radiance or Rhythm of War.
I remember I one thing I relearned is in the beginning when they're talking about the I forgot who they were. Who those guys who like abandoned their swords and
the Knights Radiant?
No, it wasn't the Radiants, I don't think.
Who abandoned? Oh, the Heralds.
The Heralds. Because reading about the Heralds, like saying I'm done and abandoning their swords, and they talk about the swords like this sword is even more powerful than a shard blade. It was something that I completely just read over in my first read because I had no idea what a shard blade was, and I was like, holy crap, I want to know what these Herald blades do because they're apparently stronger than shard blades, and they're like insane.
I think what it means. Can I give you my theory?
Yes.
I think what it's saying is a shard blade. I think what they're talking about in that moment was you had to have an oath with a spren, and if you broke that oath, you would lose your powers. But an honor blade, just touching the blade gives you powers, and you have no.
Oh, because is Vasher's sword? What is it called?
Nightblood.
Nightblood. Is that one an honor blade?
No.
It's not a herald's blade.
No, that's an awakened sword from
Wait a minute.
Warbreaker.
Is that the same one that's
from Warbreaker?
No, because I was thinking Zeth had him, but no.
Yeah, Zeth had it after he lost his honor blade.
Oh, he had.
Remember, he fights Kaladin and loses the honor blade, and then he gets saved by Talon, I think it is.
So wait, how does Zeth get an honor blade? I thought it was a Spren's blade.
No, the Aegis people are like the keepers. They have all the honor blades.
And they gave
one to him.
But it's like a shard blade.
It's an honor blade, but it works just like a
shard
blade.
Oh, no, I totally just forgot already what you were saying.
It's
like, it's an honor blade. He's not a radiant.
No.
So
that's why they're more powerful. It's because anyone just holding the sword gives you radiant powers. Whereas in a normal shard blade, you have to swear oaths and you're confined. Like Kaladin, how he almost lost Syl because he refused to protect Elokar. Like if he had an honor blade, like that wouldn't have been a non-issue.
Okay, yeah. Because I was trying to just get myself hung up on but when he killed people with his blade, it blackens their eyes like a shard blade. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You said
there's a trade-off though, because when you have an honor blade, you bleed Stormlight faster.
Oh, really?
Like you're not like it's kind of interesting. There are steps. Like the honor blade is like the most inefficient. Then you have Knights Radiants who are less efficient, and then you have Singers who like don't leak anything.
So this is why I need to reread the series, because I'm like, what?
I freaking love Stormlight. It's so good.
Seriously, we could go in the opposite direction. Like we rant and get so pissed off about all the things we just talked about. We could go like, oh man, Stormlight is so good though.
I know. But like Brandon live forever.
Right? Gosh dang. He's definitely.
I really want to know what he does for the second 5 books of Stormlight.
Yeah, holy cow! It's going to be. When you hear him talk about it, it's just like.
And he has so much momentum right now. He's just like writing like crazy. That I hope that he keeps up with it.
I can't believe it. It was so crazy.
How many books has he written in the last year?
Several.
If we take the 2 years, he has The Lost Metal, The 4 Secret Projects.
He wrote those
and Cytonic.
But he wrote the 4 Secret Projects in 2020, so I don't think he just published them last year.
No, still.
But I mean, like
6 books in the
with
last
him talking
4 years.
about how busy he was with the 5th Stormlight, and then he's like, "Oh, by the way, I wrote another secret project." Like, what? That's it. I love seeing. I think I've said this before, but I love seeing like other authors' reactions. Like, I don't think they're big authors, but like little authors who make TikTok videos, like talk about like, I'm just trying to write 1 book in 5 years, and you're writing 3 or whatever in that 1 year. Like, I can't keep up. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, pretty great.
Yeah, he's not that old, but if Stormlight, the second era of Stormlight, is seriously not going to start coming out for another 10 years, that is very painful. And I'm like, Brandon, I'm going to be your dang escort so you don't die. I'm going to protect you.
Seriously.
Well, let's give our last thoughts. I still kind of think
about the Traitor.
Yeah, about the Traitor. Like,
I mean, it's worth reading. I don't think you'll be. I think you're
not going to be blown away.
I think you're not going to be blown away. You're not going to be like, that was a massive waste of time.
Yeah.
But I do think in a couple of years you're going to completely forget all about it.
Yeah, I think I would still recommend, like, if someone asked me, should I read The Shadow of What Was Lost? I'd be like, no, that's just a crappy book, and it's so confusing, and that's a waste of your time. The Covenant of Steel, it's okay. I'm not going to be convincing. I think I'm gonna be like, it's okay. I mean,
do you have anything else on your what else is on your read list?
But like, it's gonna be if anyone comes to me with a Brandon Sanderson book and says, should I read this or The Covenant of Steel? Freaking Brandon, go and binge all of his books.
Drop everything you're doing.
Yeah,
and
seriously.
Just get into the Cosmere.
Because
start.
I can sell someone on a Brandon Sanderson book way better than I
have never read a Brandon Sanderson book that afterwards I wasn't like, oh my, that's the best book I've ever freaking read.
It's like, gosh.
And like, I'm reading Trust of the Emerald Sea with Caitlin right now, and like she's loving it. It's great. I don't know what it is. It's so exhilarating when like we'll read a chapter and then she's like, one more. Like, read a chapter and she's like, one more.
I feel like there's a lot of people nowadays who are like watching TV shows like just one more episode. But I feel like the more TV shows are going and movies are going this way, the more there's not all books, but there's plenty of books that are going like up and like just one more chapter. Dang it, it's 3 a.m. One more chapter.
Yeah, that's part of the like this still kind of changing directions again. But I love what Brandon's doing with Dragonsteel Nexus, because he's building a whole convention just around books, and it's freaking amazing.
Yeah. It's
like
great.
I love, like last year I loved going around and talking to all the authors and like adding books to my want to read list. And
you know what would be really funny that I just thought of that I think would be super cool, because it would be so funny, but I think it would legitimately work. Like, it would be awesome if he could set up an area in this convention that's like closed off, and it's meant to be like a quieter area, just full of like squishy chairs and couches and like lamps everywhere, where people can just go and read.
Right. It's like a
They
quiet
could
room.
go. Yeah, exactly. They could go around, talk to all the authors, maybe buy some of their books, and go read those. Just hang out for like. I mean, this year's gonna be a 3-day convention. You and I were pretty wiped after 2. It'd be super nice. Like, go chill there for an hour and just read and hang out. Maybe there'll be
real.
like some refreshments, something little, so you can just go chill, and then go back out to the convention. And then when he gives you whatever book he's released, in this case, Stormlight 5, Wind and Truth, you can freaking go read that for a couple of hours or read the whole book if you're like super fast reader or something.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun but I nerd out when it comes to like reading nooks and crap too. So.
I'm super stoked for Stormlight 5.
Seriously.
It's been a long time since I've like got a brand new physical book the day it was released.
I don't even know. Maybe Harry Potter or something was the last time I did it.
That's what I was going to say. I think Harry Potter was the last time where I was like this anticipating, and like I have a pre-ordered book and I'm just like super stoked to read it.
This is a little more fun too, because like
I guess it has a whole convention built around it. I think it's making it fun.
Because I was just thinking like the Secret Products are probably the last actual books for me, but that one was like got sent to me in the mail. It was super exciting still, getting that in the mail and be like, yes. But it's a whole other level and a whole different experience, like going to this convention.
There's something about going to Barnes & Noble and just seeing all the other Harry Potter fans there and seeing them hold their books and just being like waiting in line and being like,
yeah. And I think you can totally talk about like how we're social creatures, and like I'm definitely an introvert, but if I can get something like that, something that I love, like the Stormlight Archive or any of Brandon's books, and go to other people who like his books just as much as I do, and sometimes even more, it's so fun getting to get those people. And it's also, I don't think everyone who goes to his things are like super mega Brandon fans, but they still like his books and they like the other people's books, and it's great to go there and get together with people who are of like mind.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I love it. Love it.
Super good time, fun. Well, we hope we didn't completely dissuade you from reading the Covenant still. But we do hope we convinced you, if you haven't already, to read every single one of Brandon's books.
No hesitation.
Even his weird ones, like The Rhythmatist, is like still, I was glued to that book.
I need to read that one.
Yeah.
I'm so hesitant, though, because...
But like, seriously, I would only ever trust Brandon Sanderson to write a book about people who would write on the ground with chalk and make it interesting. Like, what the heck? It's totally good.
Yeah.
But... we'll leave you with that.
And
we'll be back with another episode with some other series that we don't know yet.
We don't know yet. But in the meantime, we're going to go play some Fortnite.
Yep. Stay frosty.
It's over.